Chapter 31 Seven-Colored Poison Sutra. Purple Cloud Wings. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The cave is silent, with a faint chill in the darkness. The little medical fairy rubbed her arm, feeling chilly, looking at Xiao Ze's strong figure in front of him. The little medical fairy couldn't help but speed up his steps and get closer to Xiao Ze. The simple torch didn't bring much light, just enough to see the surrounding situation clearly. The little medical fairy stared at Xiao Ze, and her mind was filled with thoughts. I don't know what kind of appearance Xiao Ze has under his skin. Just when the little medical fairy was lost in imagination, Xiao Ze suddenly stopped. The little medical fairy didn't have time to stop, and bumped into Xiao Ze again. Their bodies were almost perfectly matched. Feeling the strange touch, Xiao Ze did not move. The little medical fairy left Xiao Ze's back in a panic. The force of the collision just now turned the mountain peaks into hills. Xiao Ze must have sensed it. The little medical fairy felt a little shy, however, after the intimate hug when they got off the cliff just now. The little medical fairy quickly recovered this time. What's wrong with Xiao Ze? Why did you stop suddenly? Ahem, we have reached the end of the cave. Are you worried? You are so absorbed in your thoughts that I just reminded you. Xiao Ze coughed and explained, although my voice was a bit soft just now, in this quiet cave, as long as I wasn't too distracted, I could hear it clearly. Well, I was a little distracted just now. The pretty face of the little medical fairy was slightly red. Seeing that Xiao Ze didn't mention the embarrassment just now, she just followed Xiao Ze's wishes. She cast her gaze to the end. There is a stone door that glows with a pale yellow light. It seems to be a real adventure. That the little medical fairy quickly came to the stone door. This man-made stone gate should be a cave left by some predecessors. Xiao Ze followed and came to the little medical fairy. He remembered that it was a machine door, and the switch seemed to be hidden nearby. The soul's perception spread and the switch was quickly found. The little medical fairy was frowning and trying to crack the stone door. Xiao Ze had already kicked a certain raised spot, and the stone door creaked and slowly moved upward. This. Xiao Ze, you are so awesome, you found a way to crack the mechanism door so quickly. Seeing the stone door slowly opening, the little medical fairy turned to look at Xiao Ze in surprise. The firelight reflected, and the little medical fairy's eyes widened. They were so cute and sparkling, and their eyes were full of admiration. It's just that my perception is better. You don't have to be so modest. I feel like you are omnipotent, Xiao Ze. The little medical fairy said seriously, clasping his fingers and counting all the treasures in his family. My physique, the incident in Qingshan town, this Sherman in front of me, it seems that anything in front of you can be easily solved. Okay, if I keep boasting like this, I will become complacent. Let's go. The stone door has been opened. Let's see what good things our seniors have left behind. The two entered the stone chamber, where a large amount of gold and silver were piled aside randomly. It seems that this senior doesn't value the money very much. The little medical fairy said thoughtfully. Maybe there is something more valuable. Xiao Ze looked at the stone room. There is a table and chair in the center. There is a dead skeleton on the chair, and there are 3 boxes on the table. In addition to gold and silver piled on the ground, there is also a flower bed full of rare medicinal materials. Wow! Purple blue leaves, white ginseng fruit, snow lotus seeds, so many high-end medicinal materials. This is the ice spirit flame grass that is extremely difficult to find in the outside world. The little medical fairy ran over happily and muttered the name of each high-grade medicinal material accurately. Sure enough, as Xiao Zechin said, compared to those gold and silver, these high-end medicinal materials are the real treasures. Hurry up and collect these medicinal materials. I will go to other places to take a look. Okay. The little medical fairy nodded obediently and took out a jade shovel, carefully dig medicinal materials from the flower beds and carefully preserve them. On the other side, Xiao Ze got 3 keys from dry bones. I also found the remaining picture of the pure lotus demon fire. However, it is too early to consider the pure lotus demon fire now. After waiting for a while, the little medical fairy came over with excitement on his face and nodded to Xiao Ze. Come on, let's open the treasure chest. Xiao Ze opened the 3 boxes on the stone platform one by one. They are the 7-colored poison sutra, the Xian-level advanced flying fighting skill Ziyun Wing, and the Xian-level advanced fighting skill Crazy Lion's Roar. Little medical fairy, please take this 7-colored poison sutra. I have already said before that I don't want to mix poison. Okay, I don't want the other 2 fighting skills. They don't feel like they have the same attributes as me. The little medical fairy happily took the 7-colored poison sutra and read it on the spot. Xiao Ze browsed Ziyunyi and Crazy Lion's song. Now that there is no danger, he can stay in the stone room for a while. You can stay in the cave even before returning to Wutan City. This place is secretive and safe, and ordinary people can't find it at all. Just be careful of flying monsters. The 2 of them each found an area to start practicing. Xiao Ze unfolded a black scroll, with a pair of lifelike wings on it. The breath blew by, and the feathers on the wings swayed gently. It is not easy to cultivate the Ziyun Wing. It houses the soul of a 5th-level magic beast, the black flame Ziyun Eagle. Although it is only an unconscious beast state, it is still not to be underestimated. It is said that he has the sparse blood of the ancient phoenix and his flying speed ranks among the best. In the original novel, Xiao Yan was able to withstand the impact of the remaining soul because of his soul strength. With the help of Yao Lao, he stuck to his original intention and avoided becoming a beast that only knew how to kill. Xiao Ze is very confident in his own soul strength, which is definitely far superior to his peers. Moreover, when he was promoted to a fighting master before, the feedback from the system also increased his soul strength again. It should be relatively simple to deal with unconscious soul impacts now. After Xiao Ze carefully studied the scroll, he called Xiao Yixian, who was studying the 7-colored poison sutra. Xiao Ze, is there anything? I found that the 7-colored poison sutra records the evil poison body. It's almost the same as what you said. Xiao Yixian came over with the 7-colored poison sutra. When she said the latter part, she suddenly realized that she seemed to have said something wrong. Xiao Ze, I'm not doubting what you said. Okay, although the evil poison body is not common, there are records. I asked you to come here to help me protect the law. I want to practice this flying fighting skill. Okay, that the little doctor put away the 7-colored poison scripture and guarded carefully. Xiao Ze touched the wings on the scroll with his fingertips, and a soul shock came from the wings. Just when Xiao Ze was preparing for a protracted war, he found that this soul shock didn't seem to be very good. When he received the evil poison body 100 times feedback before, he experienced the pain of destruction thousands of times in an instant. The resistance to this kind of attack has been greatly improved. Now facing the impact of the violent soul, it feels like a breeze blowing on the face. After a period of time, the impact of the violent soul finally faded like a tide. Xiao Ze did not hesitate and continued to practice. He didn't consume much energy to withstand this impact. He must complete the practice in one go. The water blue fighting spirit covered the wings on the scroll. The wings bloomed with purple and black light, and the light became more and more intense. Finally, like lightning, it entered his body along Xiao Ze's palm. It began to open up 2 small branches in his body. The intense pain came again like the sea water. I ask all readers to read it. Now I recommend you to read it in full. Please move your hands and scroll to the last page of the book. Thank you so much. Chapter 32 Take off from the spot. Return to Wutan City. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The first difficulty in Ziyunyi's practice lies in his qualifications. To withstand the impact of the remaining souls of the 5th-level monsters. The second is to have extremely strong endurance. Ziyunyi will open up 2 new branches in the body. In the original work, Xiao Yan's powerful soul power and will caused him to faint from the pain. But Xiao Ze could bear it. The pain surged toward Xiao Ze like a tide, washing away Xiao Ze's rock. No matter how strong the tide is, the rock still stand firm. Time passed bit by bit, and 2 brand new branches were also formed on the back. The pain also slowly dissipated at this moment. Xiao Ze opened his eyes, and the little medical fairy cast a worried look. Xiao Ze, are you okay? You seem to be in pain just now. Have you successfully practiced your fighting skills? The fonts and wings on this scroll are gone. Xiao Ze stood up and stretched his body that was a little numb due to pain. The training is completed. This flying fighting skill is quite strange. It can only be practiced by one person. Once the training is completed, it will naturally disappear. I see. The little medical fairy nodded. This was the first time she heard about flying fighting skills. She didn't expect it to be so magical. So, Xiao Ze, you can fly now. That the little Dr. Fairy Queen realized it and said, that is something that only a strong person above the Douling level can do, but you can actually do it. That the hierarchy in Douchi continent is very strict, and only the powerful Douchi can stay in the air for a short period of time. If you want to truly fly, you must be a strong fighter. Douchi turns into wings and soars into the sky. I'll give it a try. If possible, I can take you flying. Xiao Ze smiled and took off his shirt, leaving half of his body naked. You, what are you doing? That the little medical fairy saw Xiao Ze taking off his shirt when he had a disagreement, and quickly covered his eyes and said. Didn't you say you wanted to try flying fighting skills? Why did you take off your clothes? That the little medical fairy said with some shame and anger. Although I have experienced intimate contact, it is still a bit uncomfortable to take off my clothes when I disagree. What are you thinking? I just want to prevent my clothes from being damaged. I only have these 2 sets of clothes on me. Xiao Ze explained, while turning his back towards the little medical fairy. The majestic fighting energy in the body flows towards the 2 opened branches. The little fairy doctor opened his fingers and saw a pair of palm-sized purple-black wings on Xiao Ze's back. The wings bloomed with purple brilliance, fighting energy circulated, and the purple-black wings turned into substance, suddenly changing from the size of a palm to nearly several feet. Wow, that the little medical fairy couldn't help but admire, and with Xiao Ze's control, her wings slowly flapped. A strong buoyancy force floated Xiao Ze's body until it was as high as a person, and then Xiao Ze slowly fell down. This stone room is too small, go outside and try it. Xiao Ze pulled the little medical fairy and walked out of the cave. Everything here has been looted by them, so it doesn't matter if they leave now. Coming to the stone platform outside, Xiao Ze unfolded his purple cloud wings again. When the little medical fairy exclaimed, Xiao Ze suddenly jumped down the valley. Xiao Ze, that the little medical fairy hurriedly looked down, and suddenly felt a strong wind blowing. She raised her hand to cover her eyes and saw Xiao Ze flapping his wings and slowly flying up. I don't want to die that much, Xiao Ze said with a smile. You are too bold. Isn't this the first time you have mastered fighting skills? You dare to jump off the cliff and try it. This is my first time, but I was already familiar with Zayunyi in the cave just now. Xiao Ze felt that the fighting energy in his body was being consumed a lot, and he sighed in his heart. Sure enough, flying is not something that a little fighter can control. If an ordinary fighting master spends as much as he does, his fighting spirit would have been exhausted long ago. Fortunately, his Dou Qi cyclone is unique and the quality of his Dou Qi liquefaction is also very high. Only then could he be able to support Zayunyi's consumption. Xiao Ze flew around the valley for a while, before returning to the stone platform to restore his fighting spirit. Okay, I'm completely proficient. When I regain my fighting spirit, I'll take you to fly, Xiao Ze said confidently. If anything, the little medical fairy was a little worried before. Have full confidence in Xiao Ze now, full of anticipation. He wanted to let Xiao Ze take him flying. Just now, Xiao Ze performed various difficult movements in the valley. It was not like mastering flying fighting skills for the first time at all. Soon after, the little medical fairy's sweet call came from the valley. At this time, the little medical fairy has not yet tamed the flying monster. This is her first time flying in the sky. The strong sense of novelty made the little medical fairy scream repeatedly, fear mixed with excitement. Even though Xiao Ze hugged his waist, the little medical fairy still hugged Xiao Ze tightly, for fear that he would fall. Wait until Xiao Ze returns to the stone platform. There is still something unfinished on the little medical fairy's face. Is this what flying feels like? It's amazing. No wonder so many people yearn to become strong. As long as they can become strong, they can fly freely in the sky, that the little medical fairy said with a sigh. Huh, if you want, I can fly with you more in the next few days. Okay. But will it consume too much of your fighting spirit? It's okay, I feel like I can still hold on. In the next few days, Xiao Ze flew around the valley with the little medical fairy. He dared not fly outside the periphery, as low-level monsters were prevalent outside the monster mountain range, but there was no guarantee that high-level monsters would not appear, and flying in the air was simply a living target. Time passed quickly, and it was time to return to Wutan City. If it was later, he might not be able to catch up with the enrollment date. These days, Xiao Xun'er also brought Xiao Ze all kinds of benefits. She actually broke through 3 stars in succession. This outrageous cultivation speed made Xiao Ze marvel. However, he did not receive the reward. Instead, he thought about waiting until he was ready to break through to the great fighting master before receiving it. Let's see if this non-advanced reward will have special effects after receiving it and breaking through to the great fighting master. 5 days later, Xiao Ze returned to Wutan City with Xiao Yixian. Looking at the mercenaries and merchants coming and going, Xiao Yixian's eyes were full of novelty. Is this a large city? It's really more lively than Qingshan town. Xiao Ze, you should take off this layer of skin now, right? I've known you for so many days, but I still don't know your true face. Xiao Yixian's eyes were full of curiosity, and she felt uncomfortable as if there were ants crawling in her heart. On the way back to Wutan City, she kept guessing what Xiao Ze looked like. Yes, but it's a pity for this delicate skin. It costs 10,000 gold coins per piece. It will be damaged if it's taken off, Xiao Ze said with some regret. Let's go wash up by the way. Xiao Ze took Xiao Yixian to a stream. Xiao Yixian stood by the stream, and Xiao Ze jumped into the stream and began to wash his body. The two have been together for more than 10 days, and their relationship has become much closer, and they are no longer so distant. At least Xiao Yixian didn't react when she saw Xiao Ze naked and washing his body. She looked at Xiao Ze's body openly and even teased him. Xiao Ze, are you stronger? Why do you feel a little different from a dozen days ago? I think so. I've been using Dou Qi a lot these days, so it's also a training effect. Xiao Ze responded casually. When he came out of the water, his face had changed. Xiao Yixian's eyes widened and he couldn't help thinking. What a handsome boy. Please readers, please read the book. I recommend you to read the book in full. Please move your hands and scroll to the last page of the book. Thank you. Chapter 33 Quick Sisters. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xiao Ze waded back to the shore. Xiao Yixian still looked stunned. What's wrong? Didn't I wash my face clean? Xiao Ze touched his cheek. It was as clean as before. It's okay, I just didn't expect that the appearance under the skin was so handsome, Xiao Yixian said sincerely. Huh, praise me more, I love it. Xiao Ze laughed and changed into new clothes. Xiao Yixian rolled her eyes and suddenly became curious. Xiao Ze, with your appearance, you should have a lot of confidence around you, right? Unfortunately, no, I'm usually very low-key, and there is only one childhood sweetheart in my family. Xiao Yixian was slightly happy when she heard that Xiao Ze only had one childhood sweetheart. She also deeply understood that Xiao Ze called himself low-key. Xiao Ze was more than low-key. On the way back to Wutan City, if he encountered a town and had to go inside to rest, Xiao Ze would definitely put on a cloak. Listening to Xiao Ze's explanation, on the way to Qingshan town, he did not enter the town, and always wandered outside the crowd. This is no longer low-key. Let's go, I'll take you back to the Xiao family. Xiao Ze had already arranged his clothes and slightly dried his hair with Dou Qi. Bring Xiao Yixian back to the Xiao family's land. The 2 Xiao family members guarding the gate were stunned when they saw Xiao Ze, but they quickly reacted and greeted Xiao Ze in unison. Master Xiao Ze. Well, thank you for your hard work. With a smile on his face, Xiao Ze pulled Xiao Yixian into the Xiao family. After Xiao Ze left, the 2 clansmen began to whisper. Has Master Xiao Ze been out? No, I don't have any impression. Who is that little girl? Master Xiao Ze went out for a trip and brought a little girl back. You ask me, who should I ask? This is not something we can care about. After gossiping for a while, the two guards returned to their boredom. Xiao Ze took Xiao Yixian's hand and planned to greet Xiao Zhan first. On the other side, Xiao Xun'er in the back mountain slowly calmed down her breathing and looked at Ling Ying, who appeared in front of her. Brother Xiao Ze has experienced so much during this period. And it seems that he has awakened the physique of the evil poison body. Xiao Xun'er frowned slightly, especially feeling a little uneasy about another person with the evil poison body, although in Ling Ying's report, the reason why Xiao Ze brought Xiao Yixian back, he wanted to use the poison of Xiao Yixian's evil poison body for his own practice, but Xiao Xun'er just felt a little uncomfortable. Xiao Ze and Xiao Yixian both have the evil poison body, as if they are a perfect match made in heaven. The good mood of continuous breakthroughs also disappeared without a trace. By the way, what is the strength of Brother Xiao Ze now? Ahem. Ling Ying coughed. He still understood his lady's competitive spirit. Seeing Ling Ying hesitate, Xiao Xun'er suddenly felt something was wrong. Could it be that he has already become a great dosher? That's not the case, Ling Ying said hurriedly. Before Xiao Xun'er could breathe a sigh of relief, Ling Ying's next words made Xiao Xun'er's eyes widen. Master Xiao Ze is already a 9-star dosher, and he seems to have been suppressing his breakthrough. Old Ling. You might as well not explain. How could Brother Xiao Ze not be able to break through to the great dosher? He must want to break through after returning to the Xiao family. Xiao Xun'er recalled the last time Xiao Ze broke through to the dosher in front of her. I'm telling the truth. However, the speed of the early stage of the evil poison body is indeed extraordinary. After Master Xiao Ze awakened his physique, he broke through 6 stars in a row. But, in the later stage, he should not be as good as you, miss. You are the owner of the divine bloodline of the ancient clan. Xiao Xun'er was silent for a while, and suddenly spoke. Will the poisonous body of the evil be unable to suppress its toxicity in the later stage, and will it suffer from the pain of being devoured by all kinds of poisons? Miss, don't worry. Although the evil poisonous body is rare, there is a solution in the ancient clan. After hearing Ling Ying's explanation, Xiao Xun'er breathed a sigh of relief. I hope Brother Xiao Ze will not be blinded by power and swallow the poison recklessly. Xiao Xun'er murmured, although the ancient clan has a solution to the evil poisonous body, but it is not so easy to obtain. The conditions are likely to allow her to return to the ancient world. At least before she reaches adulthood, she still wants to accompany Brother Xiao Ze. Miss, Master Xiao Ze is here. And he brought that little girl with him. After Ling Ying said the last sentence, his figure disappeared into the darkness without a trace. After Xiao Ze reported his safety to Xiao Zhan, he immediately took the little Dr. Fairy to the back mountain. Xun'er. Long time no see, I miss you so much. Xiao Ze quickly came to Xun'er, and Xun'er also showed a happy expression. The little medical fairy standing behind Xiao Ze was stunned when she saw Xiao Xun'er's face. Is this the childhood sweetheart Xiao Ze mentioned? Although she has not fully grown up, she has already begun to look like a peerless beauty. She has a mysterious and noble temperament. This is an irresistible temptation for any man. This childhood sweetheart is worth more than a dozen confidants. Originally, the little medical fairy was still happy that Xiao Ze only had one childhood sweetheart. At least the competition was a little less, but now she feels like she can't compete. Xiao Ze talked with Xiao Xun'er for a while, then took Xiao Xun'er to Xiao Yixian and introduced them to each other. This is my good friend I met when I was out on an adventure. Xiao Yixian is beautiful and kind, and is a doctor who saves the dying and the wounded. This is my childhood sweetheart, Xiao Xun'er, who grew up with me. She is naturally beautiful and a genius in cultivation. After Xiao Ze's simple introduction, the relationship between the two has improved a little, at least on the surface. Xiao Xun'er knows Xiao Yixian's situation very well. After all, there is a high-level Dohuang to explore intelligence. Although she was a little jealous of Xiao Ze's actions, Xiao Xun'er also knew that Xiao Ze's actions were understandable. This is a great opportunity to improve strength. Anyone who is motivated will not miss such an opportunity. Since it cannot be changed, you can only try to accept it. Xiao Yixian's first impression of Xiao Xun'er is her thin waist. That willow waist that is not even a hand's length. coupled with a soft face, gives the feeling of a sickly beauty. However, this sickly beauty in front of him has the evil poison body that everyone in Duki continent fears like a tiger. Xiao Yixian didn't know much about Xiao Xun'er. In addition to her peerless appearance, she was also attracted by her noble and mysterious temperament. Although the two of them had a lot of thoughts, they still acted like "I'm glad to see you in front of Xiao Ze. I feel relieved to see you get along so harmoniously," Xiao Ze said with a smile. He couldn't read minds, and it was enough for him to look harmonious on the surface. "Sister Xiao Yixian, why do you look so tired? Otherwise, I'll take you to wash up." "Okay, I really trouble Sister Xun'er." As they talked, they ignored Xiao Ze at the same time and walked towards the hot spring pool. Xiao Ze, who was standing in place, shrugged and followed them silently. The relationship between the two of them suddenly made great progress and they could be called sisters. Xiao Ze could only sigh that the relationship between women was really wonderful. I would like to ask all readers to read the book. I recommend you to read the book in full now. Please move your hands and scroll to the last page of the book. Thank you very much. Thank you for the monthly ticket support of Happy Life _DD, Brother, Bastard Tragear, L_. Thank you very much. Chapter 34, Promoted to Grand Fighter. Additional update during Mid-Autumn Festival. Happy Mid-Autu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the back of the Xiao family, Xiao Ze sat cross-legged on a stone platform and chose to receive Xiao Xun'er's feedback reward for this period of time. Boom! The Dou Qi cyclone that Xiao Ze had suppressed for a long time began to spin wildly, and a large amount of heaven and earth energy poured into his body like a sea of water. Not far away, Xiao Yixian had changed into new clothes and dressed up beautifully. She stood next to Xiao Xun'er, and the two held hands, just like a pair of close sisters. The two sisters have different styles and styles. When Xiao Ze broke through, was there such a big noise? Xiao Yixian looked at the energy vortex that had formed around Xiao Ze and couldn't help saying, if Xiao Ze hadn't said before that he wanted to break through to the Great Dou Master, she would have thought that this was a breakthrough of a higher-level cultivator. Brother Xiao Ze's talent are among the best in the Jiama Empire, and this situation is also normal, Xiao Xun'er explained, as if it was a matter of course, completely forgetting that the last time she saw Xiao Ze break through, she was also full of surprise. After hearing Xiao Xun'er's explanation, Xiao Yixian couldn't help but look at Xiao Ze. For a genius, this should be normal. This time, Xiao Xun'er informed Xiao Zhan in advance of the breakthrough, so that everyone in the Xiao family didn't need to make a fuss. When Xiao Zhan heard the news, he was shocked beyond words. At the key intersection leading to the back mountain, Xiao Zhan put his hands behind his back, looking up at the vortex of heaven and earth energy formed on the top of the back mountain. His face was full of amazement. Zeer's talent is really unheard of, that he is not even 12 years old, and he is ready to break through to the Great Dou Master. Xiao Zhan compared himself and suddenly felt that his 5-star Great Dou Master didn't seem to be a big deal. Am I really old? Otherwise, when Zeer breaks through to Dou Ling, I will pass the position of clan leader to him. With the strength of a Dou Ling strongman as the clan leader, no one in the family should dare to object. Xiao Zhan was still thinking in his heart, let Xiao Ze be the clan leader, and enjoy his old age. Xiao Ze, who was trying to break through at this time, didn't know that Xiao Zhan was ready to throw a heavy burden on his shoulders. He only felt that Xiao Xun'er's ordinary tenfold feedback reward was different from the previous breakthrough. It seems that only Xiao Xun'er's advanced reward is special. But even so, the solid foundation laid by the previous Fighting Qi Cyclone and Fighting Qi Liquid, it also made Xiao Ze's breakthrough extremely smooth this time. The vast energy of heaven and earth swarmed in through Xiao Ze's pores all over his body, running wildly in his body, unlike Xiao Yan's breakthrough, which always relied on pills. In addition to the energy feedback of the system, Xiao Ze's breakthrough was more dependent on the energy of heaven and earth. Therefore, there are higher requirements for the strength of his meridians. Xiao Ze needs to sort out the energy of heaven and earth that is infused into his body. These energies of heaven and earth are not as gentle as the medicinal power of pills. They are all extremely violent and mottled. With the experience of the last breakthrough, Xiao Ze knew that the energy of heaven and earth he needed was extremely huge. so there was no attraction to suppress the cyclone of fighting. Xiao Ze used his breathing as a guide to sort out the energy of heaven and earth that flowed into his body, and finally merged this huge energy into the Dou Qi cyclone along the route of the technique. The strange cyclone in his body accepted everything and spun wildly at high speed. These huge and mottled energies of heaven and earth were compressed through high-speed rotation. A large amount of mottled energy was thrown out, leaving only the essence to condense into mist. Under the high pressure of the cyclone, it became a higher quality Dou Qi. Crack. Xiao Ze seemed to hear a sound of overwhelmed squeezing in his ears. Under the terrible high pressure of the Dou Qi cyclone, the liquid Dou Qi that originally filled the entire cyclone began to compress sharply. While the volume of the liquid Dou Qi was madly decreasing, Xiao Ze felt that the energy it possessed was multiplying. Crack. The sound of liquid flowing in Xiao Ze's ears suddenly turned into the sound of solid collision. Xiao Ze quickly looked inside the Dou Qi cyclone in his body and found that the cyclone was empty at this time, with only a spinning dark blue crystal. This deep blue crystal is round and only the size of an ordinary pearl, but Xiao Ze can feel that the crystal contains a vast energy like the sea. Dou Jing. Many powerful people in Dou Qi continent believe that only by condensing Dou Jing can they truly enter the palace of Dou Qi cultivation. This small crystal is the crystallization of the energy in a cultivator's body. It seems small, but the energy contained is astonishing. Xiao Ze continues to absorb the energy of heaven and earth. However, a trace of doubt emerged in his heart. Of course, he has understood the cultivation of the Great Dou Master. To break through the Great Dou Master is to condense the Dou Qi in the body into a higher form of energy. This is also the basis for the Great Dou Master to transform Dou Qi into armor and release Dou Qi. But generally speaking, the crystals condensed in the body should be diamond crystals. Why did he condense a round bead? Xiao Ze couldn't figure it out, and could only attribute it to the credit of the system. As long as the Dou Jing is real, it's fine. Xiao Ze slowly opened his eyes, and a colorful light flashed by. This is the symbol of his perfect evil poison body. Unlike ordinary evil poison bodies, there is a 7-colored hidden line located in the lower abdomen. Once it spreads to the heart, it will suffer from the pain of being devoured by all kinds of poisons. Xiao Ze's perfect evil poison body does not have this feature. The perfect evil poison body can perfectly control the poison in the body. No matter how horrible the poison power grows, the evil poison body can completely suppress it. This is completely different from the path taken by Xiao Yixin in the original book. Xiao Yixin first devoured poisons crazily, accumulated a huge amount of poison power, condensed poison pills, constructed runes, and finally perfectly controlled it, and his strength reached the 7-star Dou Zun. But Xiao Ze is different. He has a perfect evil poison body. From the beginning, there is no risk of the poison power getting out of control. He can swallow as much poison as he wants. Any poison that enters his body will be instantly suppressed by the perfect evil poison body. The stronger the evil poison body, the more intense the 7 colors in his pupils will be. This is Xiao Ze's only feature of the evil poison body. Successful breakthrough. Xiao Ze stood up and looked at the 2 women with a smile. Brother Xiao Ze, tomorrow is the day for Canaan College to recruit students. I heard that the one who came to Wutan City to recruit students is Xiao Yu's cousin's mentor, a big beauty. Xiao Xun'er walked over with a smile and said meaningfully. The minimum standard for a tutor at Canaan College seems to be a grand fighter. Brother Xiao Ze will attend the enrollment ceremony, and I'm afraid that beautiful tutor will be so surprised that she can't close her mouth. Xiao Yixin said in surprise, Doesn't that mean that Xiao Ze can be a tutor at the college? Don't. Being a tutor is so troublesome. Although you don't have to take care of students like taking care of children, if students have problems, they still have to find tutors. Just thinking about it makes me feel overwhelmed. Xiao Ze quickly waved his hand to refuse. The 2 girls smiled and laughed. They deeply understood Xiao Ze's character of being afraid of trouble and wanting to keep a low profile. When they were soaking in the hot spring before, the 2 of them had an in-depth discussion on this. Xiao Ze ignored the teasing of Xiao Xun'er and Xiao Yixin, stretched his body, and said to the 2 of them. I'm going out to visit Miss Yafei. This time she helped me a lot, and I can't keep silent when I come back. Do you want to go together? Xiao Ze asked the two for their opinions, and got a unanimous rejection from Xun'er and Xiao Xian. I beg all readers to read this book. I recommend you to read it in full now. Please move your hands and scroll to the last page of the book. Thank you very much. Thank you for the monthly ticket support from Book Friend 20230603212307787. Thank you very much. Chapter 35 The Rich Woman is Hungry. She Gathering Beads. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Mitre Auction House. Yafei dragged her tired body back to her room, but even though she was tired, thinking about the person she was going to see next, her pace quickened a bit. Opening the door, the young man's face seemed like yesterday, but with a hint of maturity and experience. I wonder if the young man's experience of nearly a month has been so effective. Sister Yafei, I will come to see you as soon as I come back. Xiao Ze stood up and said with a smile. Hearing this, Yafei gave Xiao Ze a beautiful roll of her eyes and said in an angry tone, You really are a sister, I'm just an auctioneer. When you came back, didn't you take a little girl back to the Xiao family? Then get together with your childhood sweetheart. I'm afraid it will be a long time before you think of me, sister, right? Ah. Could it be that Sister Yafei has planted an informant at the door of Xiao's house? She knows everything about this. Xiao Ze's face was awkward. His words just now were just polite words, just like I'm glad to see you. But, does Sister Yafei look forward to my return so much? And she specially sends her spies to keep an eye on the Xiao family. A trace of uneasiness flashed across Yafei's face. She sat down on the chair and threw the mink scarf aside. Ah. I've been busy all day, I'm so tired. I wonder if someone can come and give me a massage. Xiao Ze secretly laughed in his heart and changed the subject so abruptly. Seeing that Yafei was unwilling to mention it, Xiao Ze did not hesitate to continue to dwell on this topic. Thank you for your hard work, Sister Yafei. Let me give you a massage. Yafei relaxed her body, closed her eyes slightly, and made it clear that she would let Xiao Ze do whatever he wanted. Seeing this, Xiao Ze was not polite and came to behind Yafei neatly. Xiao Ze lowered his head and looked down. He couldn't even see his knees. He was already stunningly beautiful in the world. The few girls he is close to are basically the same age as him or a few years older than him. No one can reach the scale of Yafei. Taking a deep breath, Xiao Ze put his hands on Yafei's shoulders. Controlling the force, she pressed Yafei so that she looked comfortable and relaxed, and unconsciously made a nasal sound of Xiao Ze finished the set and sat back on the chair. Yafei's face was still red, her eyes were half closed in comfort, and she spoke in a lazy tone. I didn't expect Brother Xiao Ze to have such skills. I said this is the first time I've pressed, do you believe it? Xin, sister, of course I believe you. Yafei calmed down for a while, then sat upright comfortably and said lazily. She felt that the energy and blood in her body were much more active. Xiao Ze's massage also had the effect of relaxing muscles and activating blood circulation. Yafei suddenly felt that she recognized this younger brother. He really seemed to have countless treasures in his body, and he could give her a surprise from time to time. This is the magic core I obtained through my experience in the Warcraft Mountains. I would like to ask Sister Yafei to calculate its value. Xiao Ze waved his hand, and a bunch of magic cores appeared on the table. He had taken the little medical ferry to collect medicinal materials on the outskirts of the Warcraft Mountains. Generally, useful medicinal materials are surrounded by monsters guarding them, so dealing with them is inevitable. One time, he accidentally encountered a wave of small monsters. Xiao Ze killed dozens of monsters in a row and killed the remaining monsters to death. That time alone, Xiao Ze harvested nearly 20 magic cores, although they are all first-level magic cores. Based on the calculation of 500 gold coins, nearly 20,000 gold coins were gained in one go. Coupled with the various gains, he gained tens of thousands of gold coins during this trip. When Canaan College's enrollment ends, he will leave Wutan City. When going out, a thicker wallet will provide you with peace of mind. Yafei looked at the table full of magic cores, her mouth opened in a circle, and she stuttered. Did you hunt these? That when Xiao Ze nodded in affirmation, Ye Fei couldn't help but say. Brother Xiao Ze, what kind of strength are you now? I can't even see through you. Sister Ye Fei, have you really seen through my strength? Xiao Ze looked at Ye Fei up and down. He had just touched Ye Fei's body with his own hands and knew that Ye Fei's strength was not yet that of a fighter. Seeing Ye Fei's angry expression, Xiao Ze quickly raised his hand and said comfortingly. Well, I was a fighting master before I left, and now I'm a great fighting master. Hiss. Ye Fei's eyes widened in surprise, her expression was a little out of control, and she took a breath. A great fighting master who is less than 12 years old. I'm afraid the entire Jiama Empire can't find it. Only then did Ye Fei truly realize how lucky she was to recognize this younger brother. In the future, Xiao Ze will definitely soar to the sky and stand at the top of the Jiama Empire. After a while, Ye Fei calmed down her shock and counted the magic cores on the table. Demon cores are always in short supply and are easy to sell. Do you want to get the gold coins now, or will I give them to you after I sell them? Just do it now, just do the math, don't worry so much. Xiao Ze said indifferently. That's not possible. How can I let my brother suffer? Ye Fei thought for a while, got up and walked into the bedroom. After a while, she took out a light gold card. There are 100,000 gold coins in this card. Now that you are a great fighting master, training will definitely consume more resources. Ye Fei took out the card with a smile, and there was a trace of unquestionable meaning in her eyes. Xiao Ze was silent for a moment and took it gratefully. Sister Ye Fei, for taking care of me today, I will definitely repay you with spring water in the future. That the pile of magic cores on the table could only cost 50,000 gold coins, but Ye Fei gave herself a deposit card worth 100,000 gold coins. What do you mean, you're going on a long trip again? Ye Fei heard the hidden meaning in Xiao Ze's words. Well, I plan to apply for Canaan College to see a wider world. I see. Ye Fei said thoughtfully, with a trace of imperceptible loss in her eyes. By the way, Sister Ye Fei, I want to buy something from you to give to my family. Okay, wait a minute and I'll give you the goods list. Ye Fei dug out the list from the table and handed it to Xiao Ze. The two fell into silence for a moment. Xiao Ze lowered his head to look for items, while Ye Fei looked at Xiao Ze quietly. Xiao Ze is going on a long trip this time and plans to prepare a gift for everyone he knows. Everyone else's gifts were picked out, but Xiao Ze was a little hesitant about his third brother's gift. Suddenly, Xiao Ze saw something called a Qi gathering bead in the column of unsaleable items. Sister Ye Fei, this Qi gathering bead is... That one. It is said that the mercenaries got it when they were exploring the ruins in the Warcraft Mountains. Ye Fei looked thoughtful, and soon remembered the origin of the Qi gathering bead. The man wanted to put it in the auction house to see if anyone could identify the goods, but after 3 consecutive failed bids, he sold it to the auction house at a low price. Xiao Ze continued to listen and was able to pass 3 consecutive shots. The effectiveness of this Qi gathering bead should be quite disappointing, but the introduction above says that it can automatically absorb fighting energy. This is a bit confusing. The fact that it can become a slow-selling item naturally has its own peculiarities. Although this strange object can automatically absorb the fighting spirit, it is difficult for others to absorb the fighting spirit inside. The great fighting masters from the auction house have tried, but they can only extract a trace of fighting spirit. This seems very useless. After listening to Ye Fei's introduction, Xiao Ze's eyes lit up. Isn't this suitable for Xiao Yan's current situation? I beg all readers to read it. Now I recommend you to read it all. I beg you to use your little hands and pull it to the last page of the book. Thank you. Thanks to Love Addiction E-Degree, Heaven and Earth King and Sundra Rabbit for their monthly ticket support. Many thanks. Chapter 36. I'll take you through the back door. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In Ye Fei's room, Xiao Ze was playing with a thumb-sized jade bead, Qi gathering bead. The capacity of this strange object is acceptable. As long as an outsider absorbs Dou Qi, it will automatically absorb Dou Qi and store it. in addition to mainstream weapons on the Douchi continent, these strange objects are also endless. It may be something that the blacksmith accidentally tinkered with. Xiao Ze tried it himself, and it was indeed extremely difficult to absorb the Douchi in this bead. But this is not a problem. Yao Lao's residual soul can absorb the Douchi in Xiao Yan's body silently. Absorbing the Douchi in the Qi gathering bead should not be a problem. When the Douchi in the Qi gathering bead is consumed, it will automatically absorb and store it. In this way, it should be able to greatly speed up Yao Lao's awakening progress. Xiao Yan can also restore the name of genius earlier, in addition to hoping that Xiao Yan can return to normal. Xiao Ze actually has his own purpose. He plans to bind Xiao Yan's alchemy. Although the alchemy skills bound to Yao Lao are not bad, Xiao Ze is greedy. Xiao Yan's future alchemy skills will be better than his master's. Xiao Yan's growth rate and growth limit are far higher than Yao Lao's. This is the fundamental reason why Xiao Ze chose to bind Xiao Yan's alchemy skills. Of course, as the future emperor of Yan, Xiao Yan must have more than just alchemy skills. However, the system's subsidiary binding allows only one ability to be bound. In the end, Xiao Ze still chose the alchemy skills with the highest practical value. Okay. This Qi gathering bead is useful to me. Thank you, Sister Yafei. Xiao Ze put it away with satisfaction, along with the things he bought before. Sister Yafei, I won't bother you any more. Go back and prepare for tomorrow's enrollment. Yeah, Brother Xiao Ze, come on. Yafei got up and sent Xiao Ze away. After returning to the room, a trace of loneliness flashed across Yafei's face. A gift for the family? I, the recognized sister, am not considered a sister. Alas! Yafei sighed and walked to the chair and sat down. Suddenly, her eyes saw a beautiful gift box on the chair on the other side. There were a few small words written on the gift box with silver hooks and iron paintings. To Sister Yafei. Hee, this guy has a conscience. It's worth my efforts for him. And the words are pretty good. Yafei happily picked up the gift box and looked at it carefully for a while, then she ran back to the room to see what gift Xiao Ze left for her. On the other side, Xiao Ze returned to the Xiao family. In fact, there are only a few gifts prepared this time. Xiao Zhan, Xiao Yan, Xiao Xun'er, Xiao Yixian, Xiao Yu barely counted as one, although it was a farewell gift. In fact, only Xiao Zhan and Xiao Yan were really parting with Xiao Ze. It seems a bit biased to send them only to the two of them, so I might as well send them all at once anyway. These gifts are not expensive. In the evening, Xiao Ze, Xiao Zhan and Xiao Yan had a family dinner after a long absence. After the meal, Xiao Ze also gave Xiao Zhan the gifts he prepared. With Xiao Ze's strength, he will definitely be able to pass the enrollment of Canaan College, so it is certain that he will leave the Xiao family in the near future. Xiao Zhan held Xiao Ze's gift and left with a smile. He left the space to his two sons. Third brother, you shouldn't have any worries recently, right? Xiao Yan pursed his lips and forced a smile. Nothing, it's just that my practice is not going well as usual. Those guys shouldn't bother you, right? No, they don't dare to speak in front of me when they see me now. Speaking of which, I have a much better relationship with my cousin Xiao Ning. Xiao Yan said hurriedly, worried that Xiao Ze would beat him into a pig head again if he disagreed with him. That's good, you and cousin Xiao Ning don't know each other without fighting. Xiao Ze said with a smile, then he took out a wristband and embedded the Qi gathering bead in it. Third brother, this is a good thing I bought for you. Maybe it will help your situation. Xiao Yan was a little confused. What could be so special about a wristband? Okay, put it on quickly. There is a secret hidden in it. It is best to wear it all the time. Don't take it off if there is nothing. Xiao Ze said seriously. Seeing Xiao Ze's expression, Xiao Yan nodded solemnly. He believed in Xiao Ze. Then I will go back first and prepare for tomorrow's enrollment. Xiao Ze stood up and said goodbye. Before leaving, Xiao Yan suddenly raised his hand to ask Xiao Ze. Fourth brother, what realm are you in now? I just broke through to the great fighting master when I came back today. Xiao Ze left a light word and slowly walked away. Only Xiao Yan was left petrified on the spot. Xiao Yan murmured with a dry throat. The great fighting master, so terrifying. At the same time, Xiao Yan was more determined and planned to target Xiao Ze. Early in the morning of the next day, Xiao Yu knocked on Xiao Ze's door. Xiao Ze, get up quickly, hurry up, otherwise there will be too many people. Creaky, the door opened, revealing a soft little face, and Xiao Yu's patting posture froze immediately. Who are you? Xiao Ze actually hid such a little beauty in the room. Cousin Xiao Yu, please be responsible for what you say. This is my friend, Xiao Yixin. Xiao Ze's voice came from behind Xiao Yixin, and he walked over wearing a white coat. She is staying at Zhao's house for one night, and is also preparing to participate in Canaan's enrollment. Xiao Yu pointed at the two of them in surprise, and said with her red lips slightly opened. You two, live together. At this time, Xiao Xun'er's voice came slowly. Cousin Xiao Yu, you think too much. Brother Xiao Ze was with me last night, and he only came back to the room to wash and change clothes today. Xiao Xun'er said with a smile, yesterday, Xiao Yixin had no place to stay, and it was troublesome to clean up the guest room temporarily. Xiao Ze let Xiao Yixin live in his room, and he stayed in Xun'er's room to help her warm up her meridians all night. Okay, it's you, cousin Xiao Yu, who urged me, and it's you who keeps gossiping. Xiao Ze tied his belt and said to Xiao Yu, who wanted to continue to ask questions. This gave up Xiao Yu's idea. The four of them went to the square for Canaan College enrollment. Xiao Ning and Xiao Mei did not come together. The enrollment standard of Canaan College is to reach the 8th stage of Dou Qi before the age of 18. They obviously did not reach it, so they did not come to join in the fun. The crowd suddenly increased near the square. Several people had bad thoughts in their minds, and Xiao Yu said, those people are still so crazy. Some people waited in the square all night, waiting for the enrollment team of Canaan College. Xiao Yu, who successfully passed the exam last year, was deeply moved and explained. Although we enroll students in Wutan City, we also enroll students in several large cities around. It is normal for many people to come. What should we do now? Xiao Yixin looked at the crowd that almost filled the square and couldn't help saying. It's okay, I'll take you through the back door. Xiao Yu said confidently. Led by Xiao Yu, the group came to the back of the square. There are troops provided by the city lord's mansion here, and each one is fully armed. They surrounded them with one layer inside and one layer outside, and it seems that the guards are very strong. Xiao Yu asked Xiao Ze and the other two to wait in place. She took out a green sign from her bosom and went forward to communicate with the general of the garrison. The stern-looking general of the garrison glanced at Xiao Ze and the other two, and frowned slightly. Please read this book. I recommend you to read it in full. Please move your hands and scroll to the last page of the book. Thank you so much. Chapter 37 Test. Conflict between freshmen and seniors. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The face is good-looking, but he is too young. Xuemei Xiao, it's not that I don't believe you, it's just that the faces of the three of them are too young. The garrison general was silent for a moment and then spoke bluntly. Don't worry, senior. I dare to bring them here. Their strength is definitely up to par. Even the strongest among them, senior, you may not be able to defeat. The general glanced at Xiao Yu in surprise. Since the schoolgirl promised so, he would let him go. Anyway, they were the ones who failed the final assessment and were embarrassed. The general didn't take Xiao Yu's last words to heart. At such a young age, no matter how talented you are, can you still beat yourself? Joke. Xiao Yu came back with the general, and the general looked at the three of them again. Under his intense gaze, the three of them looked calm, which actually made the general nod secretly. You know, if ordinary people make eye contact with him, they can't help but avoid it. He has actually been on the battlefield, and his eyes are full of murderous intent. Let it go. The general waved his hand and stood aside. The encircling steel army also moved slowly, revealing a path 2 people wide. Xiao Yu showed off the jade token in her hand to Xiao Ze and others, and then waved to them. As soon as he stepped into the path, the proud smile on Xiao Yu's face froze, and he suddenly felt a little chilly in his body. This army has definitely been on the battlefield. The heavily armed soldiers were not just showy, they had a faint smell of blood on their bodies, and when walking among them, there was an indescribable sense of oppression. Xiao Ze didn't think anything was wrong. He even glanced at the general standing aside. He could feel that it was the general who was causing this sense of oppression. He once killed through a wave of small monsters, and he was able to kill even ferocious monsters. Facing this kind of battle, it is still easy. Moreover, Xiao Ze's greatest confidence is his own strength. A one-star great fighter is enough to kill the entire army in front of him. When you are not strong enough, the oppression you do is just a showpiece or a paper tiger in the eyes of the strong. Xiao Xun'er next to her also looked calm. How could Xiao Xun'er, who was guarded by high-level fighting emperors all day long, be frightened by the group of soldiers in front of him? The little medical fairy was shocked at first, but quickly calmed down. She had followed Xiao Ze before and experienced the wave of small monsters. The scene after the end can be said to be a river of blood. The small valleys where the battle took place were all in low-lying areas, forming a small pool of blood. Although after the battle, the little medical fairy vomited crazily for a long time, but my ability to withstand the smell of blood and this sense of oppression has improved a lot. Therefore, after the initial discomfort, she quickly calmed down. Xiao Yu had an extremely difficult time walking this short 10-meter road. Finally reaching the end, Xiao Yu breathed a sigh of relief with a pale face. Looking back, he saw Xiao Ze and the other three looking at him calmly, and his pretty face couldn't help but blush. He said to himself, "Sure enough, the only ones who can make friends with monsters are monsters." The general standing on the outside also walked in quickly. His eyes were shocked, and he looked at Xiao Ze and the others again. He admitted that he was blind. The oppression just now was caused by him. It is impossible for ordinary people to pass, and they will be scared to the point of weakness halfway through. "Senior brother, you are being too difficult." Xiao Yu patted her chest and said with some fear. "Ahem, this is the test ordered by tutor Ruolin. Otherwise, if everyone wants to take the back door, will the enrollment ceremony be held?" Xiao Yu nodded helplessly, rolled his eyes at him angrily, and then led Xiao Ze and others into the square. Before leaving, Xiao Ze glanced at the general. Does a normal trial require an officer to pull the pressure? The doubts in Xiao Ze's heart flashed past and he didn't think about it in detail. Anyway, it made no difference to him whether he had this general or not. Several people came to the tent in the center of the square, and a woman with an extremely hot figure suddenly rushed out. She immediately hugged Xiao Yu and raised and lowered her hands towards Xiao Yu. "Go away, you pervert!" Xiao Yu smiled and cursed, and pushed her away hard, otherwise this guy's hands would not stop causing trouble on her body. "Let me introduce, this is my good sister from Canaan College, Snowy. She has an extremely hot figure and has many suitors." Xiao Ze nodded. Needless to say, he could see it. Snowy was wearing a red dress and had a youthful and pretty face. Maybe her appearance is not as good as Xiao Yu's, but she has a devilish figure with bulging front and back. However, the young people passing by couldn't help but secretly cast their eyes on Xue and I, and some even couldn't help secretly swallowing a sip of saliva. Xiao Yu slapped away Xueni's hand that was still trying to cause trouble, and then pulled Xue and I to the front of Xiao Ze and others. "These two are my clan members, cousin Xiao Xun'er and cousin Xiao Ze. This one is Xiao Ze's good friend, the little medical fairy." Xue and I looked at the three of them curiously, and was immediately attracted by Xiao Ze. "Sisters, come out quickly!" Snowy suddenly shouted into the tent. Suddenly a group of fat and thin women came out. Before they could ask, Xue and I pointed at Xiao Ze. "Wow! What a handsome boy! Whose boy is this? How did he come to the square? He is so handsome." Xue and I, "It's great. You know, to share it with the sisters." Xiao Yu saw this group of girls and knew something was wrong, so she quickly stopped Xiao Ze. "Hey, this is my cousin Xiao Ze, don't mess around, he's not an adult yet." "Oh, Xiao Yu, why don't you usually mention your clan members? It turns out there is such a beautiful boy." Xiao Ze stood aside with a smile that met everyone's expectations. Xiao Xun'er held Xiao Ze's hand, which meant to declare sovereignty. Xiao Yixian stood beside Xiao Ze, her eyes full of surprise, seeing that a small riot was about to break out outside the tent. A roar suddenly came from inside the tent. "Why do you want me to stand outside? Just because you are a 3-star fighter. It's just the title of senior. Although I am a freshman, I am also a member of Canaan College. That the sudden voice stunned the girls outside the tent. Xiao Ze raised his eyebrows slightly. This passage conveyed quite a bit of information. It seemed that the freshmen had a conflict with the seniors. The girls no longer had the heart to play around, and hurried back into the tent. Xiao Yu also waved to Xiao Ze and the others, signaling them to follow her in. Entering the tent, Canaan College students were staying in the shade in groups of 3 or 2, outside the shadows. There were a dozen young men and women who were being exposed to the scorching sun. The students of Canaan College looked at the center of the tent with a look of anticipation. The freshmen who were being exposed to the sun also looked at the center of the tent with some surprise. They were freshmen and did not dare to resist, but the man in the center of the tent dared to resist and spoke their minds. A boy who looked 15 or 16 years old, with a somewhat burly figure, seemed to have undergone hard training. At this moment, he was crossing his arms and looking at the person opposite with disdain. I beg all readers to click and read. I recommend you to read the whole book now. Please move your hands and scroll to the last page of the book. Thank you very much. Thank you for the monthly ticket support of the person in front of me is the one in my heart, Yang, Awa, Ran, Jiomeng, and book friend 2023080448_BA. Thank you very much. Chapter 38, Help. Teacher Ruolin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The atmosphere in the tent was a bit solemn, and the Canaan students around were watching the show. The freshmen outside the tent were looking forward to it. Standing opposite the freshmen was a young man with a fair face. The 3 gold stars on the Canaan College uniform on his chest showed his strength, but at this moment, his fair face was full of gloom, which was extremely ugly. Rhodes felt the eyes of the students around him watching the show, and immediately felt embarrassed. When facing those freshmen who were bossing around, he severely cut down the spirit of these geniuses from small places. It made him feel very good. Unexpectedly, he met another thorn, and refuted his words in front of so many people. This made Rhodes, who always loved his face, feel extremely humiliated. I've seen a few troublemakers like you. But the final outcome is that the more they shouted at the beginning, the more miserable they were. This is the unwritten rule of Canaan Academy. It is to curb the spirit of geniuses from small places like you. So that we can avoid a fight when we get to the academy. That the burly young man rolled his eyes and said disdainfully. Just because you are a 3-star fighter, you want to curb my spirit? Rhodes originally thought that his previous words could save his face. Unexpectedly, this guy didn't listen to him at all. And what he said was so irritating. Especially the last 2 ambiguous laughs, it completely detonated his inner anger. In that case, let me, a senior who is a 3-star fighter, teach you what the rules of the academy are. Come on, I also want to see how powerful the seniors of the academy are, or Canaan Academy is not worthy of its reputation and has an empty reputation. The boy's arrogance made him decisively accept the challenge. The crowd of onlookers made room for a place and watched the show more happily. The freshmen who were sunbathing outside the tent also looked forward to it, hoping that the burly boy could give them a sigh of relief. Xiao Ze looked at the 2 people standing still and raised his eyebrows slightly. Of course, he could see that the 2 were in the same realm and were both 3-star fighters. Looking at the burly boy's figure, you can tell that he usually exercises hard. Among low-level practitioners, a burly body can definitely occupy a great advantage. Sure enough, after a Canaan student who was the referee announced start, the burly boy rushed up in an instant and punched with great force. Caught off guard, Rhodes was knocked back 3 steps by a punch, and his face instantly darkened. His originally confident face was also covered with clouds. He found from the contact just now that the strength of this thorn seemed to be no less than his own. Xiao Ze watched the show from the side, and said silently in his heart, this thorn is a bit difficult to deal with. That he was very happy to see this, although it is a good idea to reduce the sharpness of the geniuses in small places and make them fight less, but there is no need to use this method. When they went to Canaan College, they saw that the people around them were at the same level as themselves, or even more talented. Naturally, this sharpness was reduced. If they still hold an arrogant mentality, then Xiao Ze thinks that this is not sharpness, but stupidity. It is really inappropriate to throw people outside and expose them to the sun for half an hour. While Xiao Ze was thinking about a lot of things, Rhodes had already fallen to the ground under the repeated attacks of the burly boy. Rhodes felt a burning sensation on his face, as if he had been slapped dozens of times. The surprised eyes of the people around him also made him feel ashamed. The freshmen were even more excited when they saw this scene, as they finally got rid of their anger. The burly boy saw that Rhodes had fallen to the ground, and his eyes showed a trace of disappointment, but he did not beat him up. At this time, Xiao Ze suddenly noticed that Rhodes, who was lying on the ground, seemed to have thrown something into his mouth. Xiao Ze narrowed his eyes slightly. Was he going to cheat because he couldn't win? Sure enough, Rhodes turned over directly, and his aura became unusual, and he rushed towards the burly boy with red eyes. The burly boy also noticed something was wrong, but Rhodes had already rushed forward, and his fists were shining with the light of fighting spirit, obviously using some kind of fighting skills. Bang! Puff! Caught off guard, the burly boy flew backwards. After landing, he stepped back a few steps before half-kneeling on the ground and vomiting blood. Rhodes suddenly exerted force on his feet, leaving a shallow footprint on the ground. He rushed towards the burly boy, with a hint of murderous intent in his eyes. The girls watching around all screamed. The other students of Canaan College also frowned slightly, wanting to stop him, but it would be bad if someone died. The freshmen standing outside in the sun were full of worry. The burly boy raised his head and looked at Rhodes' fist full of fighting spirit, and his heart beat faster, but the injuries on his body made him unable to move, and he could only watch the fist approach. At the critical moment, the burly boy saw a palm wrapped in light blue fighting spirit stretched out from the side and grabbed Rhodes' wrist. Forgive others when you can, this is a murderous attack, why bother? Xiao Ze's calm voice sounded from the side, causing Rhodes and the burly boy to look at each other at the same time. Everyone cast their surprised eyes on Xiao Ze. They really didn't notice when Xiao Ze approached. You brat, do you want to stand up for him? Rhodes's eyes were red and he was obviously a little confused. TSK. What kind of medicine did you take? Your strength has not been greatly improved, but the effect of the medicine is so strong. Have you lost your brain? As Xiao Ze spoke, his arms suddenly exerted force. With a click, Rhodes' arm was broken. Rhodes' figure was somewhat distorted and he bent down. Xiao Ze raised his foot and kicked Rhodes on the chest. He kicked him out and rolled around a dozen times outside the tent. Hiss! What is this boy's background? So fierce. He actually knocked Rhodes away after taking the elixir and temporarily improving his strength. This young man's strength is probably extraordinary. The atmosphere in the entire tent completely solidified, and countless people's eyes fell on Xiao Ze. The Canaan students' eyes were full of solemnity. The girls who learned Xiao Ze's identity were filled with shock. Some of the freshman girls looked at Xiao Ze's figure with admiration in their eyes. In this silence, an extremely gentle voice sounded. Oh, I've only been away for a short while, and you made such a big noise for me. Along with the sound, a figure in green quietly appeared. There is a gentle smile on his face, which makes people feel like a clear spring water flowing through their heart. I feel the unique gentleness and agility of women from her. Surprisingly, it is the tutor for this recruitment, Tutor Ruolin. Xiao Yu was worried that something might happen to Xiao Ze, so she rushed forward with a smile and hugged Ruolin's plump waist tightly with both hands. Hey, Tutor Ruolin, you misses you so much. It was my cousin Xiao Ze who took action just now. He was a bit reckless. Please don't blame me, Tutor. Oh. He is your cousin. Is he also here to participate in this recruitment? Ruolin's eyes flashed with surprise and joy. I'm afraid she really found a treasure this time. Xiao Ze was pulling the burly young man up at this time. The young man nodded gratefully towards Xiao Ze. Thank you for helping me, my name is Lei Luo. Xiao Ze, that I beg all readers to read it. Now I recommend you to read it all. I beg you to use your little hands and pull it to the last page of the book. Thank you. Thanks to L_ and One Night Forever for your monthly ticket support. Many thanks. Chapter 39 Punishment and Grading. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You two carry roads in, and the freshmen come in too. The voice was as gentle as water, flowing through everyone's hearts, as if even the summer heat disappeared with the appearance of this voice. Teacher Ruolin asked two students to carry Rhodes who had fainted on the ground and, after checking Rhodes' injuries, Ruolin frowned slightly and rolled her eyes at Xiao Ze. You little guy, you're really cruel when you fight. That this charming glance made the boys around blush, while Xiao Ze shrugged calmly. I have already held back. Compared with this guy who killed Lei Luo, I am merciful. The students around were also stunned, but Xiao Ze was not talking nonsense. Before, Rhodes attacked Lei Luo's fatal part, which was obviously a fatal move. Alas, Rhodes was also blinded by anger, and he didn't know how to deal with it. Ruolin sighed and pressed her palm on Rhodes' chest. Use water attribute Dou Qi to sort out the disordered breath in his body and regulate the injuries. Both water attribute Dou Qi and wood attribute Dou Qi have healing effects. Mercenary groups will recruit some personnel with corresponding attributes if allowed. After all, this is much cheaper than healing pills. Xiao Ze glanced at the boys next to him, all of whom looked envious and jealous, as if being able to receive Ruolin's treatment was a great blessing. Ruolin rolled her eyes at him before, which was so charming that ordinary men would probably be unable to control themselves. However, Xiao Ze could treat it normally, when he accepted the 100-fold reward for the evil poison body before. He experienced thousands of destructions in an instant, and also experienced thousands of revivals in the destruction. This kind of revived pleasure that acts on the soul makes him extremely resistant to these. Now if it weren't for his own distracted mind, ordinary temptations and pleasures would have been difficult to stir up his heart. In addition to the improvement of strength, the feedback reward of the system, this hidden welfare is also of great benefit. Not long after, Ruolin slowly withdrew her hand and stood up expressionlessly. Rhodes' eyelids suddenly opened, and when he saw Ruolin's face, his eyes showed some admiration and desire. Ruolin ignored Rhodes, looked at Xiao Ze, and said with a smile, "Little guy, how do you think I should deal with you? Shouldn't I reward me heavily?" Xiao Ze said in a tone of surprise. This caused everyone to widen their eyes. You are quite interesting, little guy. Tell me why I want to reward you heavily. Ruolin chuckled and then asked. I helped Canaan College stop a fight between fellow students. Xiao Ze ignored the surprised eyes of everyone. This senior from Canaan College is ruthless and merciless. He kills people in the name of sparring. If students from Canaan College can kill freshmen at will, I'm afraid no one will be willing to come to Canaan College in the long run. Humph. Rhodes retorted with a gloomy face, that guy didn't follow the rules, I just taught him a lesson. Oh, Xiao Ze laughed strangely. A little lesson, do you need to kill him? And I did stop you and gave you a chance. Rhodes' face was pale. Xiao Ze's words reminded him of the kick Xiao Ze had given him before. His chest was still burning with pain. Besides, your so-called rules are just rotten rules. Ruolin showed a hint of interest at this time. In this battle, apart from the strength shown by Xiao Ze, which made her unable to see through it, other things did not concern her, but the questions raised by Xiao Ze at this moment made her somewhat interested. Humph, this is the unwritten rule of Canaan College, and even many instructors have tacitly accepted this rule. Why do you reject it out of hand? Rod said with all his strength, and after that, he stole a glance at Ruolin. He was relieved to see Ruolin's calm face. After all, he was just pulling the tiger skin of other instructors. Instructor Ruolin didn't like this kind of rule. That's also a bad rule. Xiao Ze ignored Rod's angry eyes and continued. Your so-called rules are just to wear down the arrogance of geniuses from small places and make them behave. But they have already joined Canaan College. When they go to Canaan College, they will know that the people around them are similar to themselves, or even better than themselves. If you can still think highly of yourself in this situation, I think this is not arrogance, but real stupidity. But there are only a few stupid people in this world after all. The vast majority of people have self-knowledge. In order to prevent a few stupid people from making mistakes, let the vast majority of self-knowledge be punished. Isn't this a bad rule? Xiao Ze's final questioning made the whole tent fall into silence. The students of Canaan College had also encountered such things before. They couldn't resist, so they chose to join. Now it seems that it is indeed a bad rule. And those freshmen who have tasted the bad consequences of this rule are even more disgusted with this rule. I agree with what Xiao Ze said very much. Ruolin, who was originally calm, suddenly smiled. Little guy with a sharp tongue, you convinced me. Rhodes' eyes widened immediately and he turned to look at Ruolin. I originally had a neutral attitude towards this rule, but now you have successfully convinced me. From now on, at least among my students, nothing like this will happen. Ruolin glanced at the Canaan College students around her. The warning in her eyes was very obvious. Those students also stood up straight and did not dare to laugh anymore. They all said that they would never do such things to bully freshmen in the future. As for Rhodes, you will stand there as long as you let these freshmen stand outside. A new student will stand for half an hour. If there are 10 freshmen, you will stand for 5 hours. Calculate how many hours you will have to stand. Rhodes opened his mouth and looked at Tutor Ruolin, wanting to ask for mercy, but Instructor Ruolin, who had always been gentle, rarely showed a hint of anger in his eyes. He lowered his head and admitted his mistake. Rhodes is willing to be punished. Immediately he glanced at Xiao Ze, walked out of the tent, and began to accept the punishment. The freshmen looked at each other with a little joy in their eyes. Ruolin looked at the freshmen and said, although I forbid this, please don't cause trouble for me. This can become an unwritten rule of Canaan Academy, which shows how difficult it is for you freshmen to discipline you. Ruolin walked behind the table and sat down, took out the parchment scroll and pen and ink and said with a smile. Everyone, you are all students of Canaan College. The college needs to classify your potential, so it needs to know your specific strength. The potential value is divided into 8 levels of fighting spirit for those under 20 years old, which is the lowest level, F level. For each level of strength, the rating will increase by 1 level. All the way up to the highest level, S level, which is the 5-star fighter. Everyone understands. Now let's report one by one in order. The freshmen have become much more honest after what happened previously. One by one, they lined up and reported their strength to Ruolin. Xiao Ze was a little troubled. He wants both treatment and a low profile. I beg all readers to read it. Now I recommend you to read it all. I beg you to use your little hands and pull it to the last page of the book. Thank you. Thanks to Fu Chai Zhe and EE, Old Dream for their monthly ticket support. Thanks to Dusty Smoke Dyed Dusk Snow _BC for the reward. This is the first platform to reward it. Thank you very much. Chapter 40. Each one is more monstrous than the other. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Inside the tent, the seniors of Canaan College maintained order and asked the freshmen to line up in an orderly manner. However, everyone's eyes were vaguely cast towards the end of the team. As Xiao Ze was able to kill a 3-star fighter in a snap, what was his strength? This was a big question hanging in their hearts. Seeing that the potential registration had begun, Xiao Yu was pulled aside by her good sisters and sat down idly. After all, Xiao Ze and the other 2 needed to line up in the team, and Xiao Yu was a bit out of place among them. By the way, Yuer, what is the strength of your cousin? He can kill Rhodes in an instant, so he can't be compared with the little demon girl, right? Xue and I couldn't help but say. There was a little curiosity and love in her eyes when she looked at Xiao Ze. With strong strength and handsome appearance, how could he not be loved? Several other pretty girls also grabbed Xiao Yu's hands and asked like a spoiled child. Xiao Yu frowned slightly. She thought of Xiao Ze's low-key personality, pondered for a moment, and gave an answer. I can only say that the little demon girl is far inferior to my cousin. Xiao Yu's words made those pretty girls even more eager. They continued to pester Xiao Yu because their curiosity was not satisfied. They just wanted to know Xiao Ze's specific strength. Lin Xian, 17 years old, fighting spirit 8th stage. Ruolin held a pen in her jade hand and quickly wrote the corresponding information on the scroll, while her red lips slightly parted and said, F grade. The girl breathed a sigh of relief, bowed slightly to Ruolin, and turned to wait on the other side. The registration was carried out in an orderly manner, and the team was moving slowly. Due to the previous conflict, Lei Luo stayed in front of Xiao Ze and talked to Xiao Ze from time to time. he was not from Wutan City, but came from another city to Wutan City to attend the enrollment ceremony. In that city, he was considered a top genius. The previous conflict also made him understand that there are people beyond people and heaven beyond heaven. Of course, Rhodes, who defeated him with external force, was not among them. The one who truly knows that there are always people who are better than you is Xiao Ze. The communication between the two was not that enthusiastic. They were just discussing the different customs between the two cities. Xiao Xun'er and Xiao Yixian held hands and whispered to each other. Soon after, it was finally their turn, and the next one was Lei Luo. Among this group of newcomers, Lei Luo's quality should be the best, except for Xiao Ze and the other two. Lei Luo came to the table and proudly reported his information. Lei Luo, 17 years old, 3-star fighter. Lei Luo's words immediately startled the whispered discussion in the tent. Before, Lei Luo could suppress Rhodes, and the people in the tent had already guessed it, but when they really learned about it, they were still shocked. A 17-year-old 3-star fighter. Ruolin also showed a surprised smile on her face and quickly wrote the information on the scroll. It seems that my enrollment this time is really full of surprises, many excellent seedlings, B-level. After Ruolin finished speaking, she looked expectantly at the last 3 people. Who will go first? The 3 of them were not very old, but they all met the enrollment requirements. It was just that their specific strengths were not clear. Xiao Ze and the other 2 looked at each other, and Xiao Yixian took a step forward and said with a smile, "Let me go first." Xiao Yixian, as for age, 12 years old, 3-star fighter. Xiao Yixian had been wandering since she was a child, and she really didn't know her age. Thinking that Xiao Ze seemed to be 12 years old, she also reported this number. Hiss. Is it true? 12-year-old 3-star fighter. Oh my god, even the little demon girl in the academy can't beat him. There was a very heated discussion around. Ruolin also looked at Xiao Yixian in surprise. Xiao Yixian heard the doubts of the people around her and released her fighting spirit a little. Now she had to believe it. Because from the simple perception, Xiao Yixian's fighting spirit might be stronger than Lei Luo's performance before. As a great fighter, Ruolin could of course see at a glance that Xiao Yixian was not lying. She was even more surprised in her heart. She didn't expect these 3 little guys to give her such a big surprise as soon as they came. It's not Xiao Ze's turn yet, whose strength makes her unpredictable. Xiao Yixian made way, Xiao Xun'er moved slightly, and the girl's ethereal voice echoed in the tent. Xiao Xun'er, 12 years old, 6-star fighter. In an instant, the tent, which was originally a little agitated because of Xiao Yixian's strength, fell into dead silence. Everyone's eyes were cast on the graceful figure. There was shock and horror in their eyes. When 12 years old is connected with 6-star fighter, it represents a terrifying potential that exceeds the potential level classification of the academy. Ruolin's fingers holding the pen froze slightly, raised her head in surprise, and looked at Xiao Xun'er with some shock. Xiao Xun'er did not hesitate and released her fighting spirit a little to verify it for Ruolin. I didn't expect that I would find a treasure this time. Potential beyond S level. This is probably a rare record in the history of the academy. If nothing unexpected happens, you should be the most promising student in this year's Canaan Academy, Ruolin said excitedly, but Xiao Xun'er shook her head gently and smiled. Teacher Ruolin, please wait until Brother Xiao Ze finishes registering before making a final decision. Suddenly, everyone in the tent became extremely curious. Xiao Xun'er, who has the potential beyond S level, can confidently say such a thing. What is Xiao Ze's strength? Xiao Ze stepped forward, hesitated for a moment and said, Xiao Ze, 12 years old, as for strength, please ask Teacher Ruolin to investigate personally. Xiao Ze put his hand on the table, causing everyone to be puzzled. Xuan I shook Xiao Yu's body again and again, and said coquettishly. Good you are, tell me the real strength of Xiao Ze. Why are there so many monsters in your family? Just now there was Xiao Xun'er, who has the potential beyond S level, and now there is Xiao Ze. Xiao Yu laughed dryly and said nothing, because she didn't know Xiao Ze's real strength. Previously, Xiao Ze's strength was 9 stars of fighter, and all the information after that was just hearsay and not confirmed. On the other side, Ruolin in front of the table immediately understood what Xiao Ze meant. Will the tree that stands out in the forest be destroyed by the wind? You are a little guy with a lot of ideas. I want to see if you are really being mysterious. In the eyes of countless male students who were envious and jealous, Ruolin stretched out her fair and slender hand and placed it on Xiao Ze's palm. Slowly closing her eyes, she began to sense Xiao Ze's strength, and Xiao Ze did not stop Ruolin from exploring. Ruolin began to explore Xiao Ze's strength with curiosity. The meridians are quite strong. Water attribute Dou Qi. The same as mine. Dou Qi strength. Well, the same as mine. The same as mine. Boom. Ruolin stood up suddenly, not even noticing that the table fell to the ground. She looked at Xiao Ze with shock, as if he was a monster in human skin. Everyone was stunned by Ruolin's exaggerated performance. What kind of strength could make teacher Ruolin lose her composure like this? No wonder. No wonder I couldn't see through your move just now, Ruolin murmured to herself, and the students around her looked eagerly. Teacher Ruolin, please stop being a riddler at this time. What is the strength? Tell me. Everyone is eager to read. Please read the book. I recommend you to read the book. Please move your hands and scroll to the last page. Thank you. Thank you for the monthly ticket support from Ling Yushindi. Thank you very much.